What matters is that I'm in charge of everything that is happening in my life. And then once you identify that and take the full responsibility, the next step is to actually learn everything. So if you want to make money, if you want to be successful, then learn everything about money.
Hi, I'm Carole Podell, and this is She Takes the Lead. Hi, party people. It's Carole. I have a really cool guest today, and I'm excited because I like to talk about money. I find it interesting. I find it freeing. I know some people, women specifically, are uncomfortable with it, but I actually like it because there's something empowering about it that it makes me confident that I guess it's part of the rebel in me on a certain level that I don't buy into the idea that women aren't good about talking about money or they're not comfortable talking about money. And I understand that that is a truth, but I also understand that there's no real significant reason for that to be a truth. It's not a fundamental physiological thing. It's really more just societal. So today, I have a great guest. Her name is Ella Rivkin, and she's a financial and business consultant. She's a dynamic entrepreneur. She's a best-selling author and a seasoned investor with a mission to, wait for it, empower business owners, health and wellness practitioners to achieve financial independence and sustainable success. She is the founder of multiple successful ventures. Ella has built a reputation as a trusted guide in financial planning, tax strategies, business consulting, and personal coaching. In addition to her work as a financial strategist, Ella is passionate around real estate investing, and she's an investor in various ventures and businesses. She manages a diverse portfolio of properties and entrepreneurial investments, and she brings firsthand experience in creating passive income. That's very important. Hear that phrase again, passive income, building wealth, and scaling businesses. Her holistic approach empowers clients to uncover hidden opportunities, streamline operations, and align their financial and business goals for long-term health. The thing that I think is interesting about Ella, there's a lot interesting about Ella, don't get me wrong, and you will find out all of it in moments. But the thing that I think about is interesting about Ella is that, first of all, she came here from Russia with $100. She immigrated here, I think first in Austria, then Italy, then here. And she has created this incredible empire. And she's like just getting started, frankly. I mean, she's quite seasoned and in her world, but you can just tell she's got big, big, big things ahead of her. And we talk about empowering women and empowering women to be entrepreneurs and to own their finances. And she gives us a whole bunch of tips that I think are great. So I hope you give a listen. So please enjoy my interview with Ella Rivkin. Hi, Ella. Welcome to She Takes the Lead.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm really excited for this conversation too. I love talking about money and finances and how to make more of it and how to be more comfortable talking about it and all the things.
Yes, and I love money and money loves me.
Well, that's the part I'm interested in, is how to get money to love you.
I think it's a very good mantra to have for everyone to have that.
Mm-hmm.
It's those that scared of money or have that fear is just to incorporate on a daily affirmation list. And there is nothing wrong of loving the money. I love money. Money loves me. I'm a very spiritual person, so it all goes in the circle. You know, we gotta send this into the universe to get it back. So
100%. I love that. I'm actually going to write that. I have a series of Post-its everywhere. And I'm going to write that on a Post-it because I love money and money loves me. That's the part I think I'm missing in my own mantra is money loves me. All right. So
yeah,
let's start. Tell me a little bit about how you got to the point where you are able to say, I love money and money loves me.
Listen, I had many different pivotal moments in my life, but the main one that happened 9 years ago, imagine waking up in a white hospital bed to the words, of your doctor saying your arm would be paralyzed. And that was my reality 9 years ago after the bike accident. I thought that I had this beautiful life and created this beautiful life for myself. But then these pivotal moments in our life where like that something switches. And then for me, in that instance, that was that bike accident where my whole life just turned upside down. But at that moment when this happened to me in this hospital, and when I woke up to this, I was reevaluating my whole life. For this past 17 years, I was an absent parent to both of my beautiful daughters. I was an absent wife to my husband. And I felt at that moment like my whole life was just passing me by. And then I think like this, like when we have this, unfortunately, it's when we face these challenging moments when we start reevaluating our life.
Mhm.
And I was running always after the success, after the money, but only focusing just on the success, on the business, on the money. But then I missed the biggest concept, the concept of the success. It's not just all about the money. It's about having all areas in your life being in aligned, the relationship with my husband, with my daughters, my health. That was another thing. And then the money. And then that night when I was in this hospital bed, and besides the fact that I had to now recover and I had all these realizations in my life, another thing is that I think like that another switch that went on in my mind is that I couldn't even afford to be in that hospital. And what happened is that at that moment, I had no health insurance. And then my mind was already
Oh
racing,
gosh.
okay, how I'm going to cover all these bills
Yeah.
to heal myself and all the hospital, the surgery and everything. And then I couldn't even afford to take a day off not being in my business, because what happened is that the business was depending on me. So if I'm not in the business, then the business is not making money. So basically what I realized is that I am a slave to my business, that I depend on my business, and then I'm not using the money in the right way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that night I made myself a promise that I'm never going to put myself in this situation again. And this is when this whole transformation started.
Wow. That's wild. That's so great too, because you realize like that it's I guess it's like trading time for money versus trading information for money, right?
Exactly. Yes, it's trading time for money. It's selling your soul, basically. It's like you're selling your soul, yourself. You're giving up your whole life. And you working for money. It's not the other way around. And that's why I said, okay, you know what? Yes, I love money. Money loves me. And I'm going to learn everything that there is out there about money. But to turn this around is to learn how money will work for me, so then I can have the beautiful life and then go out there and share with others. And this is what I'm doing right now. I'm on a mission to share this with others, that it is possible to have it all. And we hear this very common right now about this life work balance, about like this balance. But the way I see it, it's covering all areas in your life. It's not just focusing where you're just working 24 hours, and that's what I used to be doing, making all this money. It's actually taking care of all areas in your life. It's being there for your spouse, being there for your kids, for your family, for your friends, travel, take care of your health, whatever it is, like all these aspects in your life.
Yeah, it's funny. Like there are certain phrases that make me crazy. One of them is getting your ducks in a row, because I don't know where my ducks are. I've never known where my ducks are. Some of them are cats, some of them are dogs, whatever. The other one is work-life balance. I understand the concept, obviously, but the whole concept of balance is that they are always in movement. Balance is never like on an even perfect place. And that sounds like what you are going towards, is that really ultimately it's like sometimes you need to pay attention more to this, sometimes to this. But the point around it is that all of the things are on the scales.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love how you said, yeah, you need constantly moving. It's interesting. This morning I was biking, so I still cycle, and I love to do that, even though I had that tragic accident.
Oh God. And just for people who are listening, your arm is fine.
So that's another story. Actually, yes, I went like, and that's talking again about like taking charge of all areas of your life.
Yeah.
Because going back to my arm, like I definitely didn't want it to be paralyzed. Like I don't take no for an answer. So I just focus all my energy on healing myself, and it's absolutely perfect. My doctor, like for him, I'm his case study. He absolutely loves me. He's like, wow, like I'm his favorite patient.
That's
Because
amazing.
like there was no way, like based on his predictions, that I would be doing the things that I'm doing right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because you practice yoga. I see you cycle. I've seen you all over
Yeah.
traveling all over the world on your social media, just like going everywhere and enjoying all the things. So it's a very full success.
I've been very fortunate. I actually been this year, I've been to 20 different countries. So
Oh my God, 20? Oh, we're gonna have to
20
get into
different
that.
countries, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get into that. I wanted to. Before.
Yeah, I think it's a separate podcast. But you know what I wanted to mention? But we were talking about the balance, and I've started with bicycling. So I was cycling this morning on the boardwalk. When you cycle, you have to move, right? You cannot just stand. And this is exactly what you were talking about, the balance. So we do need to move. It's not that we just, like just staying in one place.
Yes.
So we constantly need to be moving and improving all areas in our life and being the best version of ourselves in everything that we do.
That's amazing. No, it's such a true statement. And it's I think that generation to generation, this kind of evolves a little bit, but the idea that I'll sleep when I'm dead, like I'll just plow through. I think that especially, I think, at least I identify from being a woman around this, because you get the opportunity to have a career it's no longer, it's my right. Let me rephrase that. But the truth is that I grew up, my mother was a professional. She created her business. And I very much was focused on like having a career and making something of myself. And I identify with that very much, and spent many, many hours and many, many years working 24/7 and solely focused on that. And that is also not, fine, there is a time and a place for that as you are developing yourself, where the balance is that you are focusing on that, because you do need to do that initial big push. But yes, then there's a point where it's like, instead of just dumping out of it entirely, finding those pieces. I just love that. I just love that. So tell me a little bit about the transitional tool. Like, give me 3 things that you did to go from being solely focused to money while still trading time for it, to creating a life where you actually have a balance, air quote, in all of these areas, and in fact are letting money love you.
That's a great question. Well, very simple thing. And this is an exercise that I was doing. And I constantly do this literally on everyday basis. Like in the morning and then the evening, I check up. So what I did is that, like, if we look again, talking about the life balance, if we look at all areas in our life, it's like pretend like we have like this wheel of life as a pie, like in a circle. And then we have, if you can just like divide that circle as a pizza slices, and then each area will represent is your career, it's your health, it's your relationship, it's your spirituality. So like if you name all these areas, so ideally if you do this exercise, and by the way, if I may share this with the viewers,
Yes.
This is something that I did have put together, this recipe of self-discovery workbook. This is the success kit. Actually, I had put this together 9 years ago, right after my accident. This is what I've been working myself that helped me to heal myself and then to start improving all these areas in my life. And since you mentioned that, I do have that exercise in here, this wheel of life, where you can, if you look at this as a pizza pie, and if you just start like identifying, okay, in the case of the career from 1 to 10, like for me, it was like 9. I always say 9 because there's always room for improvement.
Growth, right?
Right. Yeah. But then when I was doing this wheel, when I looked at the relationship, when I looked at the health, when I looked at like spirituality, like all of this was like at 2 and 3. And if you look at this as a wheel, obviously it's not going to function that way. The goal is to have everything go towards 10. But in the beginning, if you have like health at 2, okay, and then you have career at 9, so you want to align them. Let's say like everything to be at 4, at 5. And this is how you expand that circle. So, and this is what I started doing. So every day, it's the same thing when you go to work, you have the meetings, you have all these projects and assignments, like you create a list of all the goals that you need to take care of.
Right.
So now what I did is that I just switched the priorities. So before the day starts, I have a goals. Okay, like what needs to be done in terms of my health? Like what needs to be done for me to feel in love and then to give love in terms of the relationship. And then you cover all these areas. And this is how you arrange your day.
Right.
So you don't just arrange your whole day. And this is what it used to be with me. Okay, I woke up and then I took my kids to school and that's it. And I am at work till like 12 o'clock at night.
I have done that quite a few times. Yes.
That's it. So then if you take this 24 hours in your day and then now you just start organizing in all areas of your life.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'll tell you that this is when the magic happens, because in my mind, I was thinking that, okay, there is no other way I can do this. I have to work because otherwise, like, it's not possible. But, the magic happened is that when I started doing this, I actually started becoming more productive at work and I started making more money.
Wow, interesting. What do you think that was happening? I mean, alignment, I do think that alignment is a huge piece of that in general, but what do you think?
It's kind of, look at it this way, like when you first time in love, right? Like you're like so high in love that everything just flows to you and from you and everything just happens so easily, right? Like you're not pushing everything just so effortlessly, right? And I think it's the same thing happens in our lives with the careers, because like when we just working, we're thinking that we are productive sitting at work 24 hours and neglecting our health, relationship, and everything. But in reality, it's the opposite. And I teach this in my workshops. There's the 80-20 rule. Have you ever heard of it?
What is it?
80-20 rule.
No. What is it?
It's 80% psychology and 20% action.
Yes. 80.
Yeah. So it takes 20% of action to actually do 100% of the work.
Yes, that's so great.
So again, the 80%, like it's all psychology, it's all in us. So that's why just sitting and working and giving you all to career,
that's not it. Yeah, interesting.
It's not it.
It's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's such a spiritual approach and it's such a spiritual perspective. But so tell me how you have put this, because the thing that I always find interesting is the combination between practical and magic. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be both in various different structures to get there. And it depends on what you're doing and who you are, I think, that gets you there. So tell me a little bit about what is the practical part of this, because making money, is a practical piece too. Like not everybody's grown up with money, or not everybody's, understands money, or even comfortable talking about money, which I'm going to get to also. So tell me a bit.
Well, great question. The first is that to identify that the biggest obstacle is actually us. And that's what I realized, is that I was always thinking that it's all external. I was always thinking, oh, my parents were not rich. My mom didn't give me anything. I didn't have any opportunities. Like I wasn't born in US because I'm an immigrant. I came here when I was 14. So like, there's all these external factors. So the number one thing is to actually identify that I am in charge of my life. And everything that I do, it's all in my control. It doesn't matter what's political affiliation, who is the president, which country we live. None of this matters. But what matters is that I'm in charge of everything that is happening in my life. And then once you identify that and take the full responsibility, the next step is to actually learn everything. So if you want to make money, if you want to be successful, then learn everything about money. What I mean is, okay, learn how money works. Learn what are these wealth creation formulas, how to accelerate. So basically you can learn it all. Or if, again, it's not necessarily like I'm that kind of person that I like to learn everything.
I am too.
But in a way you can just leverage your time. So basically learning from others. So basically what you do is you find people who live the life the way that you like to live. So like, for instance, okay, like if you want to have a beautiful body, you want to lose weight, right? And you want to have all these muscles, what you're going to do is you're going to find someone who is in the same shape and who can coach you and train you. So the same thing with the money. So if you want to learn about money, if you want to start making money, then just find someone who you can model,
Right.
who you can ask for the advice. So basically, it's very important. You don't have to do any of this by yourself. And this is what I found is, and I was guilty of that as well, because I didn't know any of this. So basically, a lot of the times, think of it, how often do we take advice from our friends, co-workers,
Right.
acquaintances? But like, we're taking the advice from them and they're not living the same life the way that we want to live our life. So then why are we taking their advice from them?
Yeah.
So the same thing basically comes with the money. So if you want to make money, if you want to know what you want, what kind of life you want for yourself, and then find these people who live that life already.
Yeah.
And then you can just model them and you can study them. You can ask them for the advice, or you can even use them to be part of your team. And this is another thing, by the way, about talking the money, the aspect of I love money, money loves me, is it's how we spend money. Because money, it's a very powerful tool. So now it's switching that. It's a lot of the times we just, and I hear this like we're like scared to spend money. I'm not talking about like buying yourself a Chanel bag and putting yourself in all these labels. But what I'm saying is that, okay, now you using this powerful tool is paying for someone for their advice, for their knowledge, for their experience. And what it does, it helps you, it accelerates your path to go where you would like to go in a much faster way. So, and this is where you're not working for money. You're making money work for you.
That's brilliant, actually. I agree so much, because I think that like goes to like. It's really physics. And when you are looking to change, or when you're looking to grow, or when you're looking to do something specifically, you have your mind's eye on that thing. The best first step is to seek out like-minded people, because you will then see what they're doing, and not the people. And yes, the people who are in the same place as you, but also people who are smarter than you, or further than you, or understand more than you. And it really is a big game changer once you understand that concept, because then you really do see not only that you can do it, but that it's possible, and how they're doing it successfully. It's such a magical lesson in that.
Yeah, it's surrender yourself with different type of people and different communities. And here's another thing that I also wanted to add about, like you said, like the physics. And we talk a lot about this law of attraction, manifestation, and you just mentioned the physics with the gravity. So here's another thing that it's an interesting fact is like how often we're like so scared to spend this money. But then on the other hand, we want to make money.
Right.
But then if you're scared to spend money, so basically the way I look at it is, and I used to be like that as well. Okay, so if I want someone to pay me $10,000, for example, for my service, then I should be okay and willing and be able to pay someone else 10,000, 15,000, whatever it is for their services. This is how it all goes in this circle. And if we talk about karma, this is what karma is. Whatever goes around comes back around. So basically, you got to create the circle, the flow of the money, be able to pay others, so then in return, others will pay you.
Right. The idea of a risk versus a calculated risk are not the same risk. And we all have to take, if you want something, you must take a risk. Like, that's just life. If you have to get outside of your, however you want to call it, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to push through whatever. But it really is like a risk and a calculated risk are not the same thing. And I think when I'm trying to learn something new about spending money on something, like, and I love me some shoes. I've never been shy about that. I have a beautiful shoe Manolo collection in there. Like, it's second to none. But once I had my kid, obviously money changed and what I spend my money on changed. But the money that I spend on learning and classes and education around something, I do not even consider that in the same realm of spend as I would around clothes or shoes or anything else. And I do the same for her. And everybody raises their kid differently, but I do see, just watching her, when I put the money where I know it's going to help her inside,
I'm never worried about it, even if I don't have it to spend at that moment, even if it feels tight. I always know that is an important piece for her development or my development. And inevitably, somehow it does. It sort of always comes back. It always sort of works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that. Yeah. Because listen, investing in your education, in yourself, self development, your kids, this is the best investment out there. And look at it this way, this is something that no one will ever take back from you.
Right.
So this is the investment that you can never lose.
Yes, that's
like you can invest money in the stock market and you can lose them.
That's right.
But investing in your self-development, in your education, and that's why, yes, as a parent, and my kids already all grown up and I did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
So like I put so much money into their education.
Yeah.
Because this is the best investment you can do, and this gives you the highest return on your investment.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about it is that you can never lose it, and no one can ever take this away from you. No one can ever steal this.
That is the key. Nobody can ever take that away from you. And that is extraordinary. Okay, so tell me, just go back a little bit and explain what the value creation of money is, because I think that this is a concept people do not. When I learned this concept from you, by the way, I was mind blown. I kind of knew about it, but I didn't know even that there was a name for it, etc. So please tell us a little bit about what that is.
The first thing is, what you need to do is you need to understand what is it actually that you want. You ask and you shall receive. So, but what are you asking for? You got to know what you're asking for. Yeah. I hear this very often. Oh, I don't like numbers. I don't understand numbers. It's not even about that. It's about understanding what exactly do you want. And then, yes, you do need to put a number to that. So it's not about like going and doing accounting or calculus or any of this, but it's identifying this. And once you know, it's the same thing. Okay, if you want to go from New York to Disney, right? You're going to put it on navigation. You're going to put the address where you want to go. So the same thing with the money. So you got to know, what do you want? It has to be specific. It has to be measurable. It has to have the number in that. So this is the number one thing, is to identify. And here's another thing for everyone. It's beautiful. Everyone talks about the financial freedom, but for everyone, financial freedom is different. For some, it might be millions. For some, it might be billions.
Right.
But for you, it might be only hundreds of thousands. So identify that number, because otherwise, if you don't know, like, what are you asking universe to give you? How are you going to get it if you don't know what you're getting? And for those of you that need help, I do have the system that I have put together, which is very, very easy to identify. You take just the 5 essential expenses that no matter what, you have to pay on everyday basis. So, and then it would be rent or mortgage, depending if you rent or if you own your house.
Yep.
Okay, it's going to be your utility bills.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the groceries that you pay for the food. And then for the insurance, and if you own vehicle, it's going to be vehicle, or for the transportation. So these are the 5 basic essential expenses. Look, like we're not taking any other luxury things. So this is just what you need to survive. So you take that number, let's say that number is like $5,000 a month. Then you multiply this by 12, it comes out to $60,000 a year. So what does that mean? Now, what it means for you, and then now that you're going to be asking, you're going to be sending that to the universe, okay? You're going to say is that you want to have $60,000 or more in passive income coming into your life, flowing into your life annually. So now it's not you working for this money. So now you have a goal that you need $60,000
Right.
that will come from anyway. You don't know that yet. And you don't need to know that yet. What you need to know is how much actually do you need to have to just live on.
Yes.
So, and that's your first step. So you identify that number. And then the next thing is that, okay, now, all right, if you want to now figure out how do I get the 60,000 in passive income coming to me annually. Now what you can do is that you can do sort of in a way like a self-audit, take an inventory. Now I'm speaking in financial terms.
No, that's great. This is the thing. We women especially, but we need to get comfy with talking about money and financial terms. So please continue.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So now you're taking an audit of, okay, like what do I have right now? Like what's the inventory? Like how much money do I have? Like do I have money on savings account? Do I have it on a pension? Do I have like a trust? Whatever you have right now, how much do you have? So it's very important to know. So you set the destination where you want to go. Now you're identifying where you are right now. And then the next step is once you identify where you are right now, okay, so the next step is how do I accelerate to get to where I want to. So again, it's kind of looking this way. If you're driving from New York, you're driving to Disneyland, right? You're putting on a navigation. The navigation is going to give you like 3, 4, 5 different routes, and it's going to tell you, okay, this one is the shortest one, this is the longest one, this is a detour. And then you identify, okay, do you want to get there in 24 hours and 18 hours or 12 hours? So the same thing here. Okay, let's say, like, for example, I have like $1 million. Okay, so how long do I want to take for me to get to this 60,000 in the passive income?
Right.
Okay, now let's figure out. So if you have 1 million, I'm just giving examples.
It's fine. No,
okay. No. So if you invest this, earning 6% annually, that's going to pay you 60,000. So that means you already have enough money and you already got to your goal. Okay. So now you can take it even further. So let's say you have this 1 million, but then you can invest it earning 10%.
If you have someplace where I can invest something that earns 10%, please share that.
So you see, like now you're actually making 100,000. So you even have more now besides just paying for essential expenses. Now you have money for all the other luxury and other things that you would like to enjoy in your life.
Right.
And then you just go on and on. And then the next investment, maybe you have like 15%. So that's already double of what you need. So basically, that's kind of how you play, but you have to know the numbers. Identifying way to invest, obviously, that's like a next step. That's like a separate already conversation.
Yes.
But first, you need to identify where do you want to go, where are you right now, and how fast you want to get there.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. If you don't have $1 million to invest to offset that 60,000 a year,
Right.
What do you do then? So if you're in a job, say, that makes, I don't know, I mean, New York is always like doubled everything everywhere else. So in New York, $200,000 a year is a nice salary, but it is not making you rich in any stretch of the imagination. So if you're making, let's say, $200,000 a year, understanding that same concept, you have your base spend is whatever, 150, I guess. So then how do you go from there if you're like in a job? Like, what are your thoughts around, like, I'm in a job, I am still trading money for time. How do I adjust that? I like my job, but I want to make sure that I'm giving myself the opportunity to have some flexibility. What do you say to people like that?
Yeah, actually, I love that you brought that question. And that's kind of how I started as well. I wasn't a million. In fact, when I immigrated here, I only immigrated with $100 in my pocket.
Wow. That is the success story.
Yeah. So when I immigrated here with $100 in my pocket, and then throughout my life, but we'll have a separate, if one day you want to.
You're definitely coming back. Let's just put it.
Yeah, I had my ups and downs. So I had moments when I actually walked out on a partnership. I left it all and I started all over from zero. So it's all possible. So for those of you who are thinking, oh my God, okay, I don't have any million, as you just mentioned, or I'm just starting out, or I have a salary. Okay, anyone can do this. So the first thing is just, okay, acknowledge that, yes, I want to do this. Yes, I'm committed. And the sooner you start doing this, the better it is. Because time is your actually friend in this case. And this is one thing is that I wish, obviously, I would have known what I know now, what I learned throughout these 10 years.
Mhm.
If I would have known this like 30 years ago, my life would have been completely different.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you're listening to this, the sooner you start, the better it is. So there's a lot of ways of how you can save money, accelerate, and start multiplying them. So let's say, as you mentioned, someone is earning 200,000. Okay, so let's say that person is single. The first thing what they can start doing is to identify how much do I want to start putting away. Identify that amount. So commit to that. Let's say we're going to be doing this 10%. So it's like $20,000 out of this 200.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this 20,000. So you're already committing to this. And here's a beautiful another fact about that. Why I'm talking about committing to the amount is when we talk about psychology is once you commit to something, if you're going to say, okay, I'm putting this 20,000 and you're putting them away, like that's it, they're already gone, then everything else, whatever else you need to pay, you will pay. You'll find the ways how to do that. And I'll tell you this absolutely true because this is what I do today.
Mm-hmm.
What I do when I even like invest and the way I do, like when the year starts, the year just started. I'm in business. I don't know how much I'm going to earn.
Right.
I have projection estimations, but I don't know.
Okay.
So what I did is that, and I do this, it's been serving me all my life, is that this year in January, I just put 200,000 into my first investment. That was like January 6th or 7th. So I had no money yet, but I already put them away and committed. So psychologically, what it does is now it makes you focus on, okay, how do I make this 200? And then not just 200 to cover this, but actually 200 more because now I need to take care of my family and the business, all of this. So you have no idea how much potential, guys, we all have. We have enormous amount of potential.
Yes, yes.
So basically by committing and doing this, we're already like sending all these signals and making it work. So now going back to this example, you put away $20,000. So now if you're a W-2 employee, I'm going to talk a little bit more about taxes. Let's say you put this 20,000 through pension. Okay, so what it's going to give you right now, if you're making 200,000, so if you're single person, so you're most likely like in a 24% tax bracket. Plus, if you live in New York City, on top of that, you pay another like 8%. So let's say 30% you're paying on this 20,000.
Yes.
So you see, right now you're already saving this 30%. So that's another 6,000 right there, right away, without actually working for them.
Right.
So now you didn't just put 20,000, but you actually saved 26,000. And then if you're working for the employer and then they have like a match program,
Yep.
they'll give you maybe like another 2,000 in a match. So now you have 28,000. You see how it works?
Yeah.
And now if you take this 28,000 and then you invest, let's say earning 10%.
I love that 10%.
So you see how it all works. Another thing, lastly, what I want to say is how money grows. And this is the biggest thing that people underestimate.
Yeah.
It's the compound interest, the way the money grows.
Yeah.
So if you take $1,000, if you invest them making 8%, we'll talk about 8%.
You can keep it at 10. I love this.
At 10, you like that,
I
I
love
know.
10. 10 is a very good number.
So let's say if you take this $1,000, you invest them with 8% without doing anything at all and not adding any more money to that.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is in 20 years, this 1,000 will turn out to be $4,661.
4 times you have increased that.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's how the money multiplies.
Right.
But now if we're talking about like this 28,000 that we just took out of the salary that we just saved.
Yeah.
Okay. And we put them away, making 8%
Right.
without doing anything in 20 years, it's almost gonna 5 times it.
Wow.
So that's just how simple it is.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I did something with my daughter who's 6, and I put together a custodial IRA for her because I was a freelancer for many years and we didn't have a 401k or pension or whatever, but I had a Roth IRA that I set up early on. And it's done very well as a result of literally just putting some money in a long time ago. And it really proved to me, I mean, I wish I'd put more in, to be totally right with you, but it's been fine. And the thing that I've learned is about a custodial IRA for your kids. Because if you put money away, and I think right now the cap is at $6,000 annually, which is a lot of money for some people. So like, even if you put, as you said, like $1,000, if you can do that for the year, and that is not even $100 a month, that multiplies so far. So by the time she's 60 or 70, when she needs to access it, it's millions of dollars.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's really like you
Yeah.
can set yourself and your children and your family up for success if you think ahead, if you think in this way. And this is what I wanted to ask about you, because there's a lot of people who are terrified of math, who are terrified of numbers. I was terrible, quote, terrible at math. I almost didn't graduate high school because I couldn't pass math. I'm very good with spatial relationships and learned that early on. So I was able to use the tools such as Excel, and I'm excellent at budgeting. I've budgeted for my real estate development, for all kinds of, for productions, millions of dollars. I'm really good at it just from knowing that. And it freed me to understand how money functions and then to be able to talk about it. But not everybody has found their way within it. Can you give us a few tips on how to, I guess, get comfortable with it, but really be able to access the comfort and access the confidence that maybe one needs to be able to start this journey with a little more authority or empowerment?
That's a very good point. Again, if we're going back to the spirituality, to the psychology, if you want something, if you want to flow this into you, like, you cannot be fearful. Like, you can say, like, I don't like this, I'm not good at this, or I'm afraid, or I'm scared. So I feel like the first thing, again, going back to our 80-20 psychology rule, it's everything is a psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not even about like loving numbers, knowing numbers. And like, no one is telling, like, we're not talking about like being a math teacher or solving these formulas or equations.
Yes.
None of this. It's just the basic, simple concept. It's having a relationship with the money.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, if you want to have a beautiful relationship with your other half, okay, if you want to have if you want to be in good health, if you want to be in good shape, so there's obviously certain things that you need to know and you need to practice. So the same thing applies to money. It's having that relationship. And that's why it's very important. And I'm talking about, like, you have to know what is that number for you. That's all you need to know. Like, you don't need to know the United States GPA or economics.
Right.
It's just knowing your numbers. It's understanding. It's understanding, like, how much do you want to, okay, like, how much, like, things cost that you spend, like how much you pay for the rent or for the mortgage, like simple things. Like, it's just knowing. And that's what it means, having a relationship. It's like, look at it this way, like, you have a daughter, everything about her, like, you got to know what she likes, what she doesn't like, have a conversation, what's going on in school, who she likes, she doesn't like. It's a relationship, right? Whether you like to know about like all her other things, no, but like, you want to be part of her. So it's the same thing with the money. All right, like, these are just simple things that you need to know. And I see this very often. I work with thousands of people throughout this 26 years that I've been in this business already. And you see those actually who do know and have the relationship.
Yeah.
They do well.
Yeah.
And it's all the same. It's the same thing, like when, like, my daughter tells me, oh, I'm gaining weight. I was like, okay, like, what are you eating?
Right. Well, you did. It's not, yes. That's
it. So it all goes the same thing with the money. So the first thing is identify like these basic things in your own life. Okay, how much you want to be making, how much you're making, how much you're paying in taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, like how much you're paying for the mortgage, all of that.
Yeah.
So, and then the second thing is, especially like today, it's so easy. I remember when I started my whole business journey, if you remember this too, there was no internet.
No.
You couldn't Google.
No,
You couldn't ask Siri.
No.
What I needed to do is go to the library,
Oh, God.
Get the book, sit down and read.
Yes.
Today it's so easy. Like, you can learn any kind of subject. You need to learn at least to know the basics. And the most important thing is have the right people.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's another thing, it's being resourceful.
Yeah.
It's not what you know already in this point, it's who you know.
Isn't that interesting? And people, I think, use that as it's who you know so they can give you what you want. No, it's who you know so you can learn what Abraham Lincoln said, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. And I live by that. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to know what other people know. And it's served I learned this concept in my 20s. And when I'm hiring people too, like when you're hiring people, you want to find people who are actually do their job better than you would do that job. You want to find people who are
Exactly.
going to excel, even if they're working for you, doing part of what you do. It only makes you look better. And if they succeed, you succeed. If they go beyond you, then they're supposed to. Like there's an amount of just understanding that everybody has the right to their own self-evolution. And
Yeah.
it helps everybody. It benefits everybody at that point.
Absolutely. Basically, in reality, what you need to know is you need to know, be able to ask the right questions. So it's being resourceful.
Right.
So once you identify the people who can help you, once you know what you want,
Yes.
then you can start asking the right questions.
Right.
I think, and that's, I think, is another important part, because like, me working with all these business owners, with the people in this financial industry, is that sometimes people, they don't even know what to ask for because they don't know what they want.
No, and that goes back to it. That is the advantage. If you know what you want, you know you can get there.
I actually want to share with you one thing. I remember when my daughter, my oldest one, Victoria, when she was about to graduate from high school, and I sat down with her and I had like this little coaching session. And she has like all these big dreams. So we used to live in Staten Island in New York, and obviously she wanted to be in Manhattan. And then when we were talking about the career, choosing the career, so I'm another typical parent that would say, oh, and like in my background, like I'm Russian.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to have like a license, a profession. You have to be like a doctor or attorney, something like that. You have to get a secure job.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and stay on that job. So I'm not that type of mom. So here's what I did with my daughter. I was like, okay, let's identify, like when we're choosing like what career she should go, what she should do. So I said, what do you want? What do you want your life to look like? And then she literally, like, she sat down and then she started telling me everything, and we started writing. So she's like, okay, I want to live in Manhattan. I want to go out. I want to dress this and that. Okay, like dream. So, okay, we started writing all of this down. And I was like, okay, now let's calculate all of this. How much it's all going to cost you?
Right.
So basically, again, you see, like we're going from that destination. So this is what you want. And then I said, okay, so I calculated and I said, okay, it's going to cost you like about 100,000 to have that type of lifestyle. So if it's going to cost you 100,000, then you need to earn at least 200,000.
Right.
So now let's think this day. What type of job will pay you this? What type of job would you like to do to earn this money?
Yep.
Like we reverse engineering this.
That's such a great thing to teach someone, especially at this age. I mean, any age, but what an incredible gift you gave her so early. So tell me where people can find you.
Well, they can find me anyway. I'm on all social media channels: Ella Rivkin, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube as well. Website, Ella Rivkin, so they can message me.
Also, I wanted to say on YouTube, just for the listeners, you have some incredible videos on YouTube of teaching moments, of a lot of information, free information that you offer up on your videos. It's really spectacular.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Absolutely. Yes, all of it for free. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this way you'll get a notification once the video comes out. I mean, like I have I think almost every day that the new video comes out on YouTube.
Wow.
I do host lots of workshops. In fact, I'm hosting 2 workshops upcoming. I don't know when this is going to be released. So I have a workshop on November 21st, 22nd. It's all for free. I'm teaching all this, and not just teaching. I'm teaching, and then we can do the exercises. So like I shared this workbook.
Yes.
I have a lot of different workbook on like self-development. I have workbook on the financial freedom blueprint, so shortcut to wealth. I have many different workbooks where like you can physically do the exercises, and you're going to come out of the workshop with the practical strategies and with the blueprint.
Wow.
With the blueprint, your blueprint, it's not just the general, it's for you, because for everyone it's different. You see, I'm very passionate about it.
It's fantastic. We are very fortunate for your passion.
As I mentioned, like I came here as an immigrant and 14 years old with $100 in my pocket, and like it's just for life circumstances. And instead of just playing a victim, I chose to actually I want to create this beautiful life for myself.
Amazing.
And now that I'm blessed that I did, I want to share with others, because Everyone can have this.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and it's possible. Anyone can do it. If I did it, and not just once, not just once, that would be another podcast I'll share.
Yeah, seriously.
But here's another thing. Talking about that, when we were talking about like investments in your education.
Yeah.
Now, if I reflect, go back to my life, like whenever I had like downfalls, when I was like losing money on taking the bold moves, starting the new businesses, I didn't have the money, but what I had is I had my skills. It's my knowledge, my experience that no one can ever take this. And the beautiful thing that I learned from all of this is every time like you go and you start doing like with all this knowledge and skills, you actually do more and more and faster because you already have
Yes,
this knowledge.
for sure. Wow, that's fantastic. It's so true. I mean, clearly, talk about self-created, but also created through the like understanding how to get other things to function for you. Incredible, extraordinary. Tell me about that book behind you too.
This book, The Cracking Two Codes of Success, I co-author with Brian Tracy. Everyone knows Brian Tracy. So this was our bestseller on the Amazon. That was my project 8 years ago. So after that accident, when I changed my whole life, the whole trajectory, I had my whole transformation. So I just wanted to share with the world.
Fantastic.
And yeah, you can reach out to me and get the book as well.
Fantastic.
Signed copy from me.
Oh, amazing. All right. I'm in. Okay. So I know the first step is to know what you want. Tell me any tips how you figured out what you want.
I mean, like everyone is different. For me, I'm a very visionary person. I see the things that will happen that like 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think here's another thing that I learned. We all have this in us. We all have it. It's basically like waking this up in us, that inner child. You have a daughter, and like when you look at the kids, like they live in this imaginary world, right? Like they dream about all of these things. And then how often do they start telling them, we as an adults, oh, it's not possible, it's not possible. And basically what happens is that as we start growing up, because we hear this so much, it's not possible. So what happens is that our dreams, they just get to be diminished, and they just basically, they still in us, but they like dormant somewhere. So basically what it is, it's waking this up in us. So all of us have dreams.
Right.
All right. So like start waking this up, like start dreaming. Like look at the magazines if you want some reminders to wake up. Like you can even watch some movies. And then another thing is that what I was doing is like that night when I was in the hospital, like I didn't sleep for the whole night. So basically what I started doing is that, okay, I started writing all the things that I want to do in my life. So it's basically like for me, that was that moment. And I, for those that don't have these moments that I had, like waking up in this hospital bed, but what I do, even up today, when everything is perfect, what I do is, if this was my last day in this earth, like how would I want my life to be lived? And just like write down, like sit down and just start writing and writing. What would your perfect life look like?
Right.
Don't think about it if it's possible or not. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is, listen, if you want to fly to the moon, yes, write that you want to fly to the moon. It doesn't, like, write everything that you want. Like, it doesn't matter if it's possible or not. Like, identify all of these things and then have them. And then, like, put a list of like 50 items, 100 items. Then from there, then what you can do is like, okay, now you can select, okay, in the next year, what are some of the 10 items I want to pick, and I want to make sure that I'll make it happen.
That is the best advice I've ever heard on how to do that, because I've heard plenty of like, figure out what you want, figure out what 20 years, 30 years, 50 years looks like. But that is such a good, like, that's such a good tip. It's not even a tip, it's good advice.
That's the beautiful thing, that another thing that I learned, going back to that 80-20 rule, the 80% psychology, is, you know, now that I'm in spirituality, it's our mind is the computer. And here's a beautiful thing, that would be obviously another conversation, is the way it is that we send the Wi-Fi signals to the universe, like without thoughts, with what we think.
Yeah.
While thinking thoughts sends, that's our Wi-Fi signals that sends to the universe. Think about how many times you thought of something and then it came to the reality.
Right. Oh my God. All the time. All the time.
That's the whole point. So this is exactly the same thing. So write down things, even like if it's not possible to get. That's not the point. The point is to write them down, to start thinking about them. So once you identify like these 10 things that you want to happen in the next year, now what's going to happen is you're going to start thinking about them. Like put them down on the walls everywhere. I have vision boards around my whole house. I wake up, right in front of me I have. So I'll share with you, I just came out of the retreat. So the thing that I projected into the universe is that I want to make $100 million. So I have no idea how it's going to happen. I projected it there. I have vision boards all over. Like I'm looking right there. It says 100 million. Like my whole house says 100 million.
Amazing. I love it.
So you see, like now I send that Wi-Fi signal.
Yes.
Like I'm thinking about that. But now we don't need to think how we're going to do this.
Yes.
It's not the point.
That's not the point.
It's the point that I already have the number. Okay, I already sent the signal. Okay, I already have a goal. I already have a vision.
And you know what, you are clear on what you want. And therefore it is in your head all the time because you have your vision boards on. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Ella, thank you so much. This was fabulous. This was just
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was great. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please hit subscribe. You can also find me at carolepodell.com, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Carole Podell. You can watch this at She Takes the Lead podcast on YouTube. If you'd like to keep in touch, go to my website. I've got a few things I'd love to send you. In the meantime, mwah.